From turquoise lakes set against a backdrop of beautiful snowy peaks to unbelievable wildlife, the Canadian Rockies set themselves apart as some of the most incredible mountains in the world. Over the next 10 days, we're going to be taking you around some of the most beautiful parts of Canada, including Yoho National Park, Banff National Park, Jasper National Park, the Kananaskis, and of course, Icefields Parkway.
Welcome to Canada. For the next 10 days, we're going to be taking you on a bunch of different beautiful spots around the area just like this.
If you guys are new here, we are Gisela and Steven, and we're going to be taking you on a new bucket list adventure every single month for the entire year. This time, we're going to be taking you through the Canadian Rockies. Thank you to the sponsor for this video, Unbound Merino. We are wearing their shirts and we're bringing them as we travel through some of the most beautiful parts of the entire world. When is the best time to visit Canada? It really depends what you're looking for. If you're into snowboarding and skiing and want to see the beautiful Canadian snow, we would recommend checking out this video right up here where we do a deep dive into the best things to do during winter, which are a little bit different than the best things to do during summer. If you guys are into jumping in lakes and want warm weather, we would recommend visiting in the latter half of July into early August. That is when it's going to be the most warm, and hopefully it's before fire season in Canada. If you guys are looking for the larches and less crowds and the best time to do a road trip, a little bit cooler temperatures for hiking, that is when you're gonna wanna go during late September into early October, and that is when we did this Canadian road trip. So we think it is the best time to go for the beautiful fall colors, less crowds, and like I said, it has great temperatures. Where you're hiking, you're not gonna get too hot, and it does get a little bit colder during the evenings.
How much does it cost for a Canadian road trip through the Rockies? Well, it really depends what time of year you are going to be visiting and how long you're going to be there. So first things first, we visited in September, which is still considered technically peak season as it is still summertime, but it is a little less expensive than visiting during June, July, or August. In terms of accommodations, we needed a place to stay for 10 days. So that is why it was a little more pricey for us than our previous trips. This was the longest we've ever been in like one location in a long, long time. So 10 days for accommodations in the middle of September, it cost us $1,000 USD per person. This was staying in one hotel in Banff proper for 7 nights, as well as a 3-night stay in Jasper. We could have cut some costs here by either camping in one of the campgrounds on the Canadian Parks website, or by renting a camper van and doing it that way. However, we were a little concerned with the wildfires this year and the dropping temperatures in September that it might be a little too cold and smoky for us to be camping for 10 days. That's why we decided to splurge a little bit on hotels and Airbnbs. However, if you guys are balling on a budget, that is one way to cut your costs down a little bit, as well as staying and visiting in a little more off season like May or October. In terms of gas for our rental car, we spent about $61 USD per person. That is split 3 ways, and that was from visiting Banff to Yoho, to the Icefields Parkway, to Jasper, to Hinton, and then all the way back. So we filled up gas about 4 times, and we were driving a Ford Escape. It had decent gas mileage, but yeah, we filled up 4 times. What really helped was splitting it 3 ways. Otherwise, if you're doing this trip on your own, it could definitely add up and get a little bit pricey. Next up, we have the rental car. We decided to get ours through Turo. We use this all the time. It's really nice because you can custom choose your vehicle that you want instead of just getting one random one from the rental services at the airport, and you can customize your arrive and end time and drop off and stuff. And so it was nice because ours actually came with a Parks Pass rental as well as bear spray, and it cost us $293 per person for the 10-day rental. Keep in mind that's splitting 3 ways. Next up, we have food. We decided to do a little bit of a mix when it came to food. So we went to the IGA in Banff and got groceries 2 or 3 times throughout our stay to make it a little cheaper for breakfast and lunches. And then we would typically dine out after our long days and grab some dinner in either Banff or Jasper. And in total, we spent about $450 per person on dining, including both the dining out and the groceries. So it was a little more pricey. However, it was totally worth it. The food scene in Banff was fantastic. We did not have a single bad dinner. Places we would recommend eating are places like the Pad Thai restaurant. There's a Neho. Farm and Fire was really good. If you guys want a really good breakfast spot, to Lulu's was fantastic. We went back there twice because the food was so good and massive portions. The Tavern as well, really good pizzas and beer. And our favorite coffee place was White Bark Coffee. Highly recommended that spot as well. We'll make sure to list all of these locations down below for you if you are interested in visiting any of those too. Last but not least, we have public transport. So this basically included everything that wasn't with the rental car. So that's including a gondola that we did up to Sulphur Mountain for sunset. That's including a canoe rental for when we paddled out to Spirit Island, as well as the Moraine Lake bus charter that we did for sunrise. Currently, you can't get to Moraine Lake without taking a public or private charter bus. It is closed to private vehicles, unfortunately, now because it got very, very popular and congested and there wasn't enough parking for everyone. So if you're trying to visit Moraine Lake, you do have to pay for shuttle permits, whether that's through Parks Canada, whether it's through the Rome transit buses, or whether it's through a private company. Like we used Moraine Lake Bus because they're the only company that will get you to Moraine Lake before sunrise. So if you're a photographer, that's something to keep in mind. It is way more expensive to go during sunrise. It was $100 Canadian to get that Moraine Lake shuttle bus for sunrise. If you guys were to do it through them, like for later hours, I think it was around 35. And if you were to go through Parks Canada and get that permit, it's around like 5 to 15 Canadian per person. I forget exactly how much, but keep in mind the Parks Canada shuttle permits are much harder to get. You have to be online like 6 months in advance when they release them and try and snag them, or they do release them 2 days before and you have to be right online at 8 a.m. and grab them that way. So that one's a little more like, hopefully you'll get the permit, but it's not really guaranteed. So the more expensive private ones, it's less of a hassle to get, but it is more pricey. So in total for those three things, it was $225 US split 3 ways. That's also not including like parking fees. Like if you're trying to drive your rental car and park at Lake Louise, it does cost $21 per person. So you actually don't need shuttle permits to come to Lake Louise, but it is $21 a day to park here. There's some extraneous parking fees here and there that you might want to keep in mind. And then if you guys do want to rent a canoe at Lake Louise, at Moraine Lake, or at Emerald Lake in Yoho, just keep in mind that the canoe rentals are also pretty pricey. I believe at Moraine it was around, what? It was 180 Canadian per hour, and it is up to 3 people. So it can be very expensive to do it, and they don't do like half-hour rentals or anything. You have to do it on the hour. I believe at Yoho it was around 90 Canadian dollars for a rental out there. So just make sure to keep that in mind in advance. Make sure to bring some extra cash or cards with you if you are interested in doing that canoe rental. I think it's really cool, but I'm happy we saved our canoe rental for Spirit Island. That was really fun. So that brings us out to a total of about $2,000 US per person. Keeping in mind that there were 3 of us on this trip, me, Steven, and our buddy Dalton. We highly recommend doing this with a group of friends, not only because you'll be able to help yourself save some money, but you can also hike in groups because you will be in bear territory if you're doing a ton of hiking. It's better to hike in groups of 3 or 4 instead of just by yourself in 1 or 2.
What should you pack? So when you are going to Canada, the big thing you want to remember is to bring layers. So first up, I'm going to be wearing my Unbound Merino shirt. This shirt is amazing. I love it for a few different reasons. Number 1 is it's wrinkle resistant. So if I throw it in my suitcase and pull it out, it's not gonna have a ton of wrinkles in it. Number 2 is it is odor resistant. So during Canada, I'm only gonna be bringing a carry-on. I don't wanna bring a whole bunch of stuff. So if I can limit my t-shirts down to 1 or 2, it's gonna be perfect. And number 3 is because they're really cozy. What I typically like to do on a travel day is I'll wear my t-shirt and then I wear my Unbound Merino sweatshirt. This thing is so comfortable. It has a hoodie in the back. It's nice and light. It's merino wool, so I don't have to worry about it getting stinky or wrinkly or too hot or too cold. On hot days, it keeps me pretty cool because it's nice and light. And on cold days, it keeps me nice and cozy where I can bundle up. So this is the first thing that I'm going to be packing. Once again, thank you to Unbound Merino Clothing. If you guys want to check out their clothes, you can check them out right down below. For insulation layer, I like to bring this super simple R1 Patagonia. It's nice and lightweight. I can put it under this, I can put it over it, and this is going to be like my super warm clothing that I can wear inside or outside. But this is gonna be the second thing I pack. Number 3 is I'm gonna bring a puffer. I have a bunch of different puffers right here. My favorite one looks just like this. It's super lightweight, it's compactable, so I can bring that. And number 3, the last thing I'm gonna be wearing is a windbreaker. So I like to bring this one. This is my Arc'teryx windbreaker. also super comfortable. Sometimes I'll just wear my Unbound Merino shirt, long sleeve shirt, and then I'll put this on top just in case there's a little bit of wind resistance. So that's all I'm gonna bring for the top. Speaking about pants, Unbound Merino also has some super comfy joggers. I wear those for most of my travel days. I can sit in them really comfortable. Once again, they don't get me too hot and they look great when I'm walking around it. I like that jogger look, especially when you're hiking or when you're walking around travel days. Your pants aren't gonna get snagged on anything, so that is fantastic. Shoe-wise, I want you to think about bringing something that is waterproof and warm. I love these Blundstones mostly because they are waterproof. Since we're gonna be in the canoe, we're gonna be around a lot of different lakes, I want something that's not gonna get my feet too cold. So I'm gonna bring my Blundstones as well as one pair of hiking shoes. I bring one pair of regular hiking shoes. These are my Columbia high tops that I'm gonna use for longer hikes where I need a little bit more support. I also love to bring these as a backup pair. These are my Hoka hiking shoes. They're super lightweight. They're actually brand new. Hoka just brought them out, so really, really comfy. I ran a marathon in some Hokas earlier this year, so really excited to bring these along for some hiking.
We're gonna go see the most beautiful lake in the world.
We have a 40-minute drive over to Lake Louise, and then we got shuttle reservations to go see Moraine Lake at sunrise. So, gonna get a little snooze on over while Steven drives, and we'll see you over there.
Welcome to Moraine Lake. This place is absolutely incredible. We saw sunrise out here. It wasn't the best glow, but it was still super beautiful. We took some astrophotography shots that look just like this. And this is what the shots look like during the day. We're gonna be cruising along the shoreline, and there are so many hikes that you can do from this lake. We're gonna try and go up and do Larch Valley and Sentinel Pass, because that is where most of the larches are gonna be. We can see some of them up on the hills right now, so hoping that we get nice and lucky and that the sun comes out as it's supposed to a little bit later today. If you guys are here though, there's a bunch of different shuttle times. We reserved the 5 a.m. shuttle, so we got here right around 5:30. We hung out for about an hour and a half shooting some fun photos before the sun finally came out. It did get really, really busy right before the sun came out. So if you guys are looking to set up your spot, I highly recommend getting the early shuttle, even if it means you have to sit out here for a little bit longer. There's also a 4 a.m. shuttle if you guys are trying to do one of the peaks and be up there for sunrise. So lots of different options, and yeah, let's get hiking. All right, we've made it up a few of these switchbacks, nice and easy so far. We've done about 500 feet of elevation gain, and we're about 3/4 mile in, starting to heat up a little bit. But yeah, it seems like the first mile and the last mile are definitely gonna be the steepest part, so we'll keep cruising.
All right, that's where we're headed.
We are now at 2.6 miles, 1,600 feet of elevation gain. We just made it to the lake. We can see the end of the pass. It is a little rainy. Larch is looking pretty good, not peak, but definitely not too early either. It looks really, really pretty. So such a fun little hike. Currently we're here on September 14th, kind of mid-September. We heard that peak is supposed to be this week. So hoping that it just keeps getting better as we go.
That's what the view from the top looks like.
It's very cold.
And windy and rainy. It took us a solid 2 hours and 12 minutes to get up here with stopping. So our average mile was about 30 minutes. So if you're just moseying, plan on about a 4-hour round trip. Yeah, it wasn't too bad. Just switchbacks in the beginning and switchbacks at the end. And we'll be heading out here shortly because I don't think it's gonna get very sunny.
We're now here at Lake Louise. This is what it looks like during midday. And this is what sunrise looks like. It is absolutely beautiful out here. You get this gorgeous alpine glow coming down the mountain. Got some really, really cool pictures. It just depends what you want to see. If you want the really blue water, maybe go out and go canoeing or hiking. Come in a little bit later in the day might be nice. But if you guys are here doing sunrise, it is beautiful to see the sun hit the mountains. We got here right around 6 to make sure we got parking. Parking lot doesn't look like it got really filled up until around 7 a.m. So if you guys arrive right before sunrise, you should have no problem finding a parking spot. But beautiful, we're gonna get ready to go hike Big Beehive and Devil Sum. We just got to the top of Little Beehive. It was right around 3.25 miles, 3.5 miles with about 1,500 feet of elevation gain. And that was with us stopping over at the tea house. The tea house was pretty cool. It's right on a lake. Prices are very, very expensive, and it closes at 4 p.m. So if you guys are doing a morning hike, could be a nice stop on the way down. If you're doing an afternoon hike, could be a nice stop on the way up. We decided not to stop there because they were all out of the sandwiches, and it was $18 for a peanut butter and jelly sandwich and a little bit of soup. So you can stop if you want. A little pricey for us. If you guys are doing the little Beehive, you can go all the way to the end, but personally we think the view about 500 to 600 feet back was the best spot. It looks just like this. It was a beautiful photo. Doing it midday was awesome, but this is also an amazing sunrise hike. So right after you see sunrise at Lake Louise, you can cruise up, or if you've already seen Lake Louise, you can just come straight up here. But highly recommend checking out Little Beehive. Tomorrow we're gonna be doing the Big Beehive and the Devil's Thumb, so we're super stoked for both those hikes. We made it to the top of Devil's Thumb. Pretty cool little hike. We're gonna check out this little offshoot as well because it looks like that's the main photo spot. We're gonna be heading to directly behind us, which is the Big Beehive. We heard that the view from Little Beehive is the best one out of the three, so we're gonna let you know in just a second, but really cool hike. You do have to come up quite a bit. Make sure that you guys bring enough water and wear some good shoes because the rock is a little slippery.
After we finished up Devil's Thumb, since it is on the same exact saddle as Big Beehive, we decided to hike out to Big Beehive, check out the view. But if we were rating them from 1 to 3, we would say that Devil's Thumb was the most beautiful out of all of them, but definitely the most strenuous. We would then say that Little Beehive is the second most beautiful and gives you a great view of Lake Louise from the top, and third was Big Beehive. Although Big Beehive did have the best larches for when we went during the fall, if you guys are hiking during the summer, it might look a little bit different. Definitely pick one, if not all of these, to do on your Lake Louise adventure day.
We are up here at Peyto Lake. We're at the panoramic overlook, but we're a little bit past the viewpoint. You can keep going on the trail and you'll have like this beautiful view all to yourself. So we highly recommend keep on going and not just staying on the wooden platform. There's a few trails that you can follow. We found this one on all trails and it's so beautiful. Even with the storm coming in behind us, like this water is absolutely stunning. It took us about 20 minutes to hike up here. The trail's pretty well kept, and so you don't really have to wear like too hefty of hiking shoes. We're all wearing Blundstones. Highly recommend it. There's a parking lot down below that you can just park at. Make sure you bring your parks pass, otherwise you can get a ticket. So you can buy that anywhere in Banff really, but we highly recommend buying a pass if you're gonna be spending some time in the parks in both Banff and Jasper and Yoho.
Good morning. We are in our first sunrise in Banff. We're stoked. Waiting for maybe the clouds to catch a little. We'll see.
We're waiting in a parking lot. There's a lot of paid parking areas in downtown Banff, but they don't go into effect until 8 a.m. They run from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. So we're currently at 6:30 in the morning, so we likely don't have to pay it. Good to know if you are renting a car and driving in here. There's also lots of free shuttles from hotels and things like that if you're staying in the downtown Banff area, but it's just, usually we'd recommend renting a car because that way you have a lot more flexibility. Okay, we have made it out to Banff Avenue and we're getting this iconic shot of the street with the mountain. No one else is out here. It's like pretty late for sunrise. It's a 7:15 a.m. sunrise. It's about 6:50 right now. Now we are on the suspension bridge overlooking the Bow River, and this water is just nuts.
We are staying at the Banff Rocky Mountain Resort. Pretty nice little spot. It's really close to the city center, and that's what we like so much about it. We can go into town and get food. You can also stay in the nearby Canmore or Golden, but we like how close this is to the downtown area. So we could wake up this morning, do a little 10-minute drive, and we have the beautiful view that we want. We're gonna go pick up some groceries for the week, and then we're going hiking later. We're excited.
We are now heading up Sulphur Mountain. We're taking the gondola because apparently the hike is just a ton of switchbacks that we don't need to do.
We heard it's very boring.
So we paid the price. It was 100 Canadian dollars per person for round trip, which is definitely pricey, just like the gondolas in Switzerland. We're going up here for sunset and we already hiked like 7 miles earlier today, so we're being lazy. But it's a beautiful view and we'll see you at the top.
This is the boardwalk that you walk on.
It is the boardwalk you walk on.
It has some stairs. Nothing too crazy, very family friendly, and the clouds are starting to get a little color.
There's a food place, a coffee shop, there's a lot of amenities, trash cans. It's
there's
very well maintained.
All right.
The boys are out there setting up a time lapse. I'm staying in the car because it's cold right now, but we're waiting for sunrise at Two Jack Lake. The boys are making coffee. It is a lot more busy than when we first got here.
We just finished checking out sunrise at Two Jack Lake. Definitely the time to go is sunrise. During sunset, you have to have like a burn and beautiful clouds in order to get any really good photos. But check out these photos from sunrise. The sunrise photos were stunning, especially, oh my goodness gracious. It's so beautiful. The sunrise photos was so beautiful because you got that gorgeous alpenglow, and we could hang around. Now it's 8 o'clock, so we sat there and shot sunrise for like 45 minutes because it was just so beautiful. We were gonna go to Johnson Canyon, but we heard that it's really turned into just a tourist trap. It used to be a really cool spot with this little secret cave, but now secret cave is shut down and it's a $25,000 fine if you go there. So we're gonna go back, plan out the rest of the day, head out to the next hike.
Another cool spot to check out right outside Banff is Vermillion Cliffs. We went there for sunset. Typically there's this beautiful reflection you get on the water. Unfortunately, it was really windy when we went there, so we didn't get that beautiful reflection. As you can see, the time lapse is a little wobbly, but still there's like 3 or 4 little spots you can hang out and watch the sunset go down over the beautiful mountain right in front of Banff.
We are about 10 minutes into the trail this morning and starting the uphill. Everyone said to go counterclockwise because it's easier, but because we like a challenge, we're going counterclockwise. Mainly because it gets you there faster for sunrise or sunset. So we're expecting it to take us about 2 hours from the reviews I read. It is like 5:30 a.m. hiking up in the dark, got our bear spray, making noise, out of breath. See you in a little bit. All right, we just made it up here to the last part of the ridge, and it took us about 85 minutes to get up here with 1,500 feet of elevation gain in like a mile and a half. So it is quite steep, no switchbacks, literally just straight up once you start doing your uphill ascent. And now we just have a little last part up to the top of the mountain, but the views are just absolutely crazy here. This park is insane. This is Spray Lakes Provincial Park. So we're not in Banff or Jasper, Yoho anymore. This is about an hour 20 away from Banff, but it's totally worth it. Like, this view is incredible. And no one else is up here. Everyone else went the other way. That was in the parking lot, so they took the clockwise, easier route. So we're the idiots that did it this way. We got a burn and alpine glow and larches. This hike is awesome. We made it in 2 hours.
Where did the wind come from?
High five. Woo! Good morning from Emerald Lake. We are exploring Yoho National Park today, which is only about 30 to 40 minutes away from Lake Louise and Moraine Lake. And it's a stunning lake out here. No one else is out here. It's a really peaceful spot compared to those other lakes for sunrise. But this is definitely a sunset spot if you are looking for that alpenglow. However, the beautiful water is stunning at any time of the day. If you want to try and get a parking spot, we'd recommend getting here pretty early. We're here on a Saturday morning. We saw this caravan of 9 RVs roll in at sunrise, so just keep that in mind. You're gonna wanna get here fairly early to get a parking spot before it all fills up, especially if you're visiting on a weekend. There is a canoe rental here, which is about $90 for a reservation. They're all first come, first serve, which is a little cheaper than Moraine Lake. Still not super cheap. That can fit up to 3 people if you want to do that. So we might do that or paddleboard here in a little bit once it gets a little sunnier. And then we are off to go hike a waterfall. So we'll see you then.
We are currently at Takakkaw Falls and it's absolutely stunning. It is the tallest waterfall in all of Canada and it's a super easy trail to get there. It's only 1.1 miles. It's very flat. It's paved the entire way. So it's very accessible for all kinds of hikers and all skill levels. There's also plenty of parking, but it does fill up pretty quickly. So we'd recommend getting here in the early morning or afternoon. We got here around noon-ish and were able to find something, but there weren't many spaces available. So especially if you're driving a bigger car like a van or an RV, you're gonna wanna give yourself a lot of time to park here.
So we just finished at Morants Curve. It's along the Bow Valley Scenic Drive over by Lake Louise and Moraine Lake. We waited for over 2 hours and it wasn't coming, so we packed up our stuff and we turned around and we were driving back towards Lake Louise and then it came. So wouldn't recommend waiting for 2 hours. We kind of bummed because we missed the beginning of the train, but we did get to see it a little bit because we turned around, so at least we got something. But yeah, it came around 1:30 p.m. for us. I don't think they're on like a super set schedule, but if you guys are trying your luck with that famous train shot, just pack your patience and know after 2 hours it's probably coming soon.
Icefields Parkway is one of the most beautiful drives in the entire world. It's going to take about 2.5 to 3 hours depending on how fast you're going to be driving through it. We've gone during the winter and it was really, really snowy. It took us almost 4 hours to drive because it was such bad conditions, and they will actually close the road when you're driving it if it gets too icy and too snowy. So make sure you check the conditions. On this day when we were driving, there was just a little bit of rain, but it was beautiful conditions. There were fall colors all over the sides of the mountains, and there's a ton of spots along the way. If you're driving from Banff to Jasper, it took us about 2 hours, and we stopped at a few of the different spots, including Sunwapta Falls, Athabasca Glacier, Athabasca Falls, and you can basically pull off anywhere along the road and you'll find a great hike or a great view. One thing to remember when you are driving Icefields Parkway is there's only one spot to stop for gas. So you're gonna be driving about 150 kilometers with no gas in sight. So make sure you go in with a full tank of gas, have some snacks in case something happens to your car, and download maps ahead of time because there's no service on your drive from Jasper to Banff or from Banff to Jasper.
Back in 2021, we actually did the same exact type of road trip through Canada from Banff to Jasper, but it was completely snowed over during winter time. If you guys are here and you want to see stuff for a winter road trip, you can check the video out right up here. All right, let's get going. We started off here at sunrise in Peyto Lake. Unfortunately, there were a lot of clouds, so we didn't get the beautiful reflection or the alpenglow, but still, a super beautiful lake. Typically this lake is a really, really nice reflection and looks just like this in some photos. So make sure you guys can make it here for sunrise if you have the opportunity.
One spot you can't miss on Icefields Parkway is Athabasca Glacier. This area you can see just by parking your car and looking at the beautiful glacier along the way. Or if you guys are up for an adventure, you can hop in one of these crazy tank-looking vehicles. They'll actually drive you up directly to the glacier and you'll be able to walk on it. You can do fun tours where you learn a little bit more about the glacier, how it's moving a little bit every year, and how a lot of it is melting, unfortunately. So if you have a free day or looking for some stuff to do right outside of Jasper on the way through Icefields Parkway, make sure you check out Athabasca Glacier, and if you can, book a tour. Once you finish Icefields Parkway, Jasper City is a beautiful little town. Our favorite thing to do is go hang out at the Fairmont Jasper Park Lodge. It is stunning. We'll grab some lunch there. As you're driving through, if you go during spring or during fall, there are elk and moose everywhere. If you go during summer, you have a pretty high chance of seeing a bear, but we went to a bunch of the different food spots in Jasper. It is pretty expensive to stay in Jasper, so if you plan on staying in Jasper City, just make sure you guys get your reservations pretty far in advance. We stayed about an hour and away in Hinton, an Airbnb, and then we just drove into town because it was much, much cheaper for us that way since we were doing the trip on a little bit more of a budget. Definitely recommend spending some time in Jasper proper, just exploring the city and checking out wildlife.
We're gonna go canoeing. It's currently 4:30 a.m. We woke up at like 2:45, did an hour-and-a-half drive over to the end of Maligne Lake over back in Jasper, and we're gonna go canoe to Spirit Island. It's a 14-kilometer each way paddle. We rented a motor though. You can actually use an electric motor on the lake, but you cannot use like any other type of powered one. So hopefully that will help. We're hoping it'll only do about like 2 hours out there, and we'll see how it goes. Your only other option is to take the ferry out there, and then you only get like 15 minutes. So we definitely wanted to canoe instead. A lot of people combine this as a camping trip. You can get campsites, you can camp along the way, not have to really rush, but we wanted to get out there for sunrise and not really...
It's go time, baby!
We wanted to get out there for sunrise and not really have to worry about the campsites and stuff since we were planning this a little more last minute. So we'll see you out there.
Currently on our way, we got Dalt leading us, G, and then I'm back here with the motor. This thing is killing the game so far. A little cloudy, there is a northern light ability, so we'll see if we get it.
Steven's in the back steering. It's been about 2 hours now, and we're almost there. Got about 2 miles to go, but we haven't been paddling at all. This motor's been taking us the whole way. It's been so nice. It's very cold. So make sure you bring all the layers and headlamps and flashlights, etc. Hand warmers are nice too. Big fan. We made it to Spirit Island in about 3 hours. We had our motor issues, but we did like the first bit in like pretty good speed. We were having our motor at like 75%, instead of 100. And then once we had our motor issues fixed, we started paddling along with it, and it made it go a lot faster. It's freezing out here. Make sure you guys bring a ton of layers. Like, it's so cold. I'm sure the camera's shaking a little bit. It's stunning. It's totally worth it. And right now we've got it all to ourselves. There's only one other group, and they just left. So we're gonna get some shots and make some coffee to warm us up, but I can't feel my toes, so it's cold.
If we were to do this again, I would highly recommend doing a 3-day, 2-night. So you'd paddle all the way up to Spirit Island the first day, camp, second day, go deeper, hang out, relax, third day, paddle all the way back. I think that'd be the ideal situation. Anyway, super, super beautiful area. We're gonna keep cruising.
All right, so we did the canoe out here. We definitely recommend doing it at sunrise, so you beat all of these ferries behind us.
There are so many people that come out here. Starting around 9:45, every 10 minutes, there's a new boat.
And you only get like 10 minutes or 15 minutes on the island. So like, we think personally, it's a much better deal if you're doing it in a group of 2 or 3 to canoe out here, spend as much time as you want, maybe bring some snacks, make a picnic, all that kind of stuff, and enjoy your time out here instead of being rushed with the ferry. But obviously it depends how much time you have. If you don't have a full day to canoe out here, then the ferry is a good option. Row, row,
Dalton, how
row
you
your
feeling?
canoe gently down the lake. Unhappily, 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 unhappily. Life is very cold.
It's starting to get windy.
Hold on, let me watch you get that on and paddle a little bit.
Everyone is losing their shit.
I'm going right.
We're going. Slight right, Dalton. Oh.
We've been at this for almost like 4 hours now on the way back because the current and the wind was so bad. It's still cold, but at least the sun kind of came out-ish. Got like a mile and a half to go.
She's
I'm vlogging.
vlogging while me and Dalton are in pain back here.
I offered to paddle, but they said I can be a passenger princess, so that's what I'm doing. See you there. We've made it here to Sunwapta Falls, and it's only a 0.1 kilometer walk away from the parking lot, so you're getting a big bang for your buck. There's a little fenced-off part here and a little bridge where you can continue to hike up to Big Bend or the lower falls on this trail that we're sitting on right now, but most people just stop and take in the beautiful view at the viewpoint. It's known for this little like horseshoe shape as it comes cascading down and into this beautiful canyon, so definitely recommend checking it out as you guys are driving the Icefields Parkway. It's a beautiful stop, and we're officially in Jasper National Park.
We are now here at Athabasca Falls. This is another one of the beautiful areas, about a 20-minute drive down from Sunwapta Falls. We highly recommend visiting here midday. You have a beautiful view of the waterfall right next to the parking lot, as well as there is this beautiful little canyon with a tree looking out at this turquoise water. Absolutely amazing, especially since there's little pops of color here since we're here in the last part of September. Definitely check out on your road trip from Banff down to Jasper.
We are wrapping up our Canada trip. We are unfortunately going home. We will definitely be back though. If you guys enjoyed this video, make sure to give it a like and subscribe. And thank you again to Unbound Merino. We've been wearing their gear the entire time. It's super comfy, does not get smelly, does not wrinkle, and it's perfect temperature, especially as we're getting on the plane. Keeps you nice and cozy. Anyway, we will see you guys out there for the next adventure.